Hi guys, today we're going to talk about comparing rational numbers. So what I want you to do is to take out your notes, and for the heading I want you to write down comparing rational numbers. What we're going to do is we are going to work on the problem today 3/4, and we are going to compare that to 4/5. Now what we've been working on is taking fractions and converting them to decimals. So for the first method, what we're going to do is we are going to convert to decimals. Sometimes decimals are easier to compare than when you're looking at fractions with different denominators. So let's first take our 3/4. And if you remember, the cowboy rides on the horse. The cowboy sleeps inside. The horse sleeps outside. So this is 3 divided by 4. I'm going to put my decimal place down because we know that this is going to be a number that is less than 1. 4 doesn't go into 3, but if we add a placeholder here, 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. You take 30 and you subtract 28, you're going to be left with 2. Now again, we need another placeholder here. You can bring that down. 4 doesn't go into 2, but if we bring down this 20, 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20, and you're left with a remainder of 0. So what do we know right here? We know that we can write 3/4 as 0.75. Now again, let's try this with our 4/5. We want to take 5, and we want to divide that into 4. Again, we're going to put our decimal place. We know this is a number that is less than 1. 5 doesn't go into 40, but if we add our placeholder here, 5 goes into 40 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40, and you're left with a remainder of 0. So over here, instead of writing 4/5, we can write 8/10. Now, looking at this problem as we have it rewritten as decimal places, we can easily see here that 0.75 is less than 0.8. Alright, I've cleared off my screen because what I want to show you guys is another method to compare rational numbers. And instead of converting to decimals, we're going to find a common denominator. So you guys can write this down and then rewrite the same problem. Find a common denominator. Okay, and the easiest way here, what we're going to do to find our common denominator, if we multiply our two denominators together, then that's going to be a common denominator. So if we start with 3/4, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the denominator 4, and the denominator of the other fraction is 5. So I am going to multiply 4 times 5. That is going to give me 20. My computer doesn't freeze. Now whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator too to keep equivalent fractions. 3 times 5 is 15. So what we have right here is 3/4 is equivalent to 15/20. Now with 4/5, excuse me, if I write that down, my denominator was 5, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply that by the denominator of the other fraction, which is 4, and that's going to give me, again, the denominator of 20. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator too, to keep equivalent fractions. 4 times 4 is 16. That tells me that 4/5 is equivalent to 16/20. And now that we have these two fractions with a common denominator, it is much easier to see that 15/20 is less than 16/20. So we can find our answer that way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little shortcut here. Because once we have common denominators, what we're really looking at is the numerator. We're looking at which numerator is bigger and which numerator is smaller. If you look at the pattern here, the numerator of 3, what we did, we multiplied it by the denominator of the other fraction, 5 times 3, and we got 15. Oh, that's a bad circle, but you get my point. Look at the numerator of 4/5. What did we do? We multiplied it by the denominator of the other fraction. 4 times 4 is 16. So basically what we did here is we multiplied. Now here, as you can see, we basically are getting the same results so easily. We can see this is the shortcut without even doing anything with the denominator. We can see that 15 is less than 16. So there are two different methods and a shortcut on how you can compare rational numbers. What I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to give you a problem and I'm going to ask you guys which method you prefer.